What better person to shut down rude and disrespectful interviewers than the symbol of all Christians himself, Jesus Christ?
If he was supposed to be healed, God would have done it himself.
Interesting point.
We will have no choice but to follow the law of Moses.
I am the law of Moses.
You can't your insulting words.
Oh, I am just getting started.
All desecrations of heresy will be purged from this sacred place.
I and the Father are one.
Don't worry, Jesus hasn't come yet. The host came prepared to ambush Jonathan Roumie from The Chosen, who played the role of the master himself, but their setup was completely backwards. A little background on this actor though. He's gained massive attention for playing Jesus and his unashamed confession of faith, but according to the hosts, they thought they could corner him into admitting it was all just pretend. Here's where it gets interesting. The host deliberately chose a specific clip as their opener.
You Pharisees, you cleanse the outside of a cup and the dish, and then you eat and drink food that goes into a body that inside is full of greed and wickedness. You fools! Did not he who made the outside make the inside also? But give as alms those things that are within.
Why would they pick that particular scene? They wanted to portray Christianity in an unfavorable light right from the start. They failed woefully. The hosts tried their first trap, asking about the pressure of playing these enormous characters. But watch how they phrased it.
That inside is full of greed and wickedness. You fools! Did not he who made the outside make the inside?
They wanted Jonathan to admit he was just an actor playing a role, that Jesus was just a character from an old book. But Jonathan's response absolutely destroyed their setup.
I think I felt the pressure pretty early on, and then after a little bit of reflection, I realized that I'm here playing this role for a reason. You know, I think God put me in this position for a very specific reason, and so I have to accept that.
He wasn't pretending, he understood God placed him there purposefully. After escaping that trap, they tried to corner him again with another sneaky question about his popularity. They assumed he was now famous, just like every other Hollywood actor, following the typical cycle of playing roles and fading into obscurity. They asked how it felt having fans interested in him as a person, clearly wanting to analyze whether he'd admit to enjoying fame or deny it. But Jonathan's answer was pure genius.
Big story, obviously, one of the best stories you're pulling from the Bible. You're relatable and you're aspirational, so you kind of have the best of both worlds. People are obviously interested in the characters, Mary Magdalene and Jesus, but now fans are really interested in you guys as people. How has that been?
You know, fame is a double-edged sword. You know, it gets you certain benefits in society, and other times you have unexpected encounters with people that are super passionate about the show, and some of them are more appropriately timed encounters than others. But at the end of the day, I think you just have to, you know, just be present with people and have grace and kindness. And when people are sort of occasionally overstepping boundaries of space, you just try to gently let them know that, you know, I'm Jonathan, I'm not Jesus. So, you know, I kind of...
This next interview, Matthew McConaughey, who we know is an acclaimed actor known for his roles in Dallas Buyers Club and Interstellar, is a devout Christian. He often credits his faith in God for guiding his life and career. Grounded in gratitude and spirituality, McConaughey frequently speaks about the importance of prayer, humility, and divine purpose, and Joe Rogan came prepared to use that against him. This interview that was going smoothly about one of McConaughey's movies, then Joe Rogan had to bring up McConaughey's belief.
Am I wrong here? You are religious in some way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to bring this up in this day and age when people go, no, I'm not religious, I'm only spiritual. You know what the Latin root of religion is? Re-legare. And legare means to bind together. Re means again. Well, in a world that's saying I'm only spiritual because I want unity, that's exactly what religion means. We've bastardized the meaning of it over time, and we've excluded people and we've corporatized it and such. But yes, I am religious.
Joe Rogan didn't stop there. After dancing around the movie for a while, he went back to asking about Matthew McConaughey's beliefs, asking something about how people have taken the Bible into their literal day life as a guideline on how to live.
Love your neighbor like yourself. I do know what to do with Matthew 6:22. If thy eye be single, thy whole body will be full of light. I do know what to do with some proverbs that I can take into daily practice and go, oh, I felt my life. I felt improvement. I felt success in my relationships, in my relationship with the day, with my career, by following that, by treating others how I wanted to be treated, the golden rule. So I take the practical stuff myself and try to utilize it and pick out what can work for me.
Even after being told directly and in no uncertain terms, Joe Rogan didn't stop there. Instead of backing down or changing the subject, he pushed forward with even more energy. He continued speaking his mind, and then went on to say this.
Almost impossible to figure out what they were trying to say with a lot of the things. That's why it's open to interpretation, but also open to manipulation. And that's where people have a real problem with it, when it's used to separate people, to exclude people, to marginalize people, to judge people. But it's hard for people that understand that those aspects and that those things happen to actually parse out that there's good about it too.
At this point, Matthew McConaughey was not having it anymore. You won't believe his comeback question to Joe Rogan. It felt aimlessly shot, but I'm pretty sure it struck a nerve or two.
100%. Look, I get it. I mean, you know, it's like what do our fathers teach us? Is your father still alive?
Well, I don't really know him. I have a complicated family history.
Okay. Well, fathers or father figures.
I have a stepfather. He's still alive, and I'm close to him.
Well, your stepfather, when he goes, you'll find out some things where the messenger and the message weren't exactly in simpatico.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Of
Does that
course.
mean?
This next one goes hard, and the interviewer did not even sugarcoat her questions. She went in blunt, sharp, and not looking back at all. And as usual, Matthew McConaughey decided to play it cool, but wasn't ready for what was coming. The interviewer came prepared with loaded questions. McConaughey thought he was walking into a standard promotional interview, but this woman had other plans entirely.
Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are when you're your most true self?
Well, it changes. Sometimes I freeze frame myself in a big frame of laughter where my kids and I were dancing, making fun of somebody. Other times it was a thoughtful week, and I'll freeze frame on myself where I'm just in a moment of repose, and I'm receiving what the world's giving. So sometimes I'm receiving, sometimes I'm giving. Sometimes I'm introverted, sometimes I'm extroverted. It's different.
She wasted absolutely no time with pleasantries or warm-up questions. While most interviewers would ease into the heavy stuff, this woman launched straight into territory that would make most celebrities uncomfortable. As the conversation was patching on smoothly, she decided to ask another sharp question.
But take us into some of those trips that you've done, because there was a really beautiful moment in one where you said that you're lying there like naked under the stars and you just felt like you were a child of God in that moment. What did that mean to you?
But here's where McConaughey surprised everyone, including probably himself. Instead of deflecting or giving some rehearsed response, he decided to get real. The mask came off, the Hollywood polish disappeared, and what came next was pure, unfiltered truth.
More than literally stripping yourself to be naked, that's figuratively stripping of yourself and going, what if I didn't have church to go to on Sunday? What if I, who am I as just a child of God? Not a McConaughey, not an American, not a man. None of those things, just as a child of God. And that's the most sort of vulnerable place to be, but there's value in stripping down to get to that place and then feeling the empowerment in that humility.
It's a real discipline, and probably one that a lot of us could employ. And in the career that you've lived...
Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and hit that little bell too so you don't miss any sweet videos. In this next interview, Alan Ritchson heard the unthinkable.
I like that. The biography of Jesus is anything but unique. In fact, it's stolen. The number of gods who came before him who were born on December 25th, really, had disciples, were crucified or something on a tree, and then came back to life.
This interviewer decided not just to slam fake or liar in the face of Christians, he decided to call the very core of the Christian beliefs plagiarized. He said the whole coming down to earth, having disciples, and even having been born on December 25th was all a big fat copyrighted material from other gods who had come before. Alan Ritchson was not about to sit and let that glide.
Right? Exactly.
But that is also not the message. The message is that the kingdom is coming to us, that heaven is coming here, that our restoration, our salvation, and our heaven is earth, that we're earthly creatures made for this place, and that this resurrection will take place on earth. So, there's like if you're truly following the way of Christianity, you will be a good steward of this place because this is where heaven is.
You know, this would be a really successful episode if you got me to be a Christian by the end of it. I'm telling you, this thing would fucking explode on the internet.
That answer was so straight to the point that even the host felt humiliated and decided to shoot the conversation down immediately by making a joke that if he became a Christian at the end of that podcast, it'll be thrilling to the world. But Alan is not the only Hollywood legend who has been put on the spot and immediately humbled the host for doing so.
Well, you know, I've always, you know, it's been easy for me to, because I'm disciplined, to be able to give up drinking for 40 days or certain things with food and comforts, but I'm really just trying to do more and be better every day.
This Hollywood legend, Mark Wahlberg, just dropped the most powerful testimony on live television. He was hit with a question that would make most celebrities dodge and deflect: why celebrities don't talk about their faith publicly.
Well, it's such a big part of my life. I credit all of my personal, professional success, everything good that's happened in my life, I kind of credit to my faith. So that's where it kind of starts for me. That's the foundation, and certainly want to share that people with the routine, the discipline, the work ethic, all of those things are things that I like to share, and I try to encourage people to be the best versions of themselves.
But that wasn't the end of it. The host kept pushing, asking him to justify being a paid spokesperson for a prayer app, basically questioning his motives. Most celebrities would have gotten defensive or given some corporate PR answer. Then Mark Wahlberg stepped up and delivered what might be the most authentic response ever given on morning television. He completely flipped the script.
Yeah, I just saw that it was saying that I was a paid spokesman. I mean, I've been called to do this. I've always felt like, you know, I've been blessed for a reason. It's not to forget about all the hardships that I face and the things that I've had to overcome. It's really to kind of, you know, encourage people that despite where they come from or the things that they've had to overcome, you know, there isn't anything they can't accomplish if they're willing to do the work, both personally and professionally. So I had made a movie called Father Stu, and that was my love letter to the Lord. And then it was like, okay, well, that was just the entry point. And now, you know, you have to continue to get people closer to the Lord, you know, and get people to work on themselves.
He didn't stop there. He went deep into how prayer literally transformed his life, giving him the strength to deal with loss, disappointment, and suffering. The raw honesty in his voice when he talked about being lost for a while during COVID was absolutely genuine. And just when you think he's done, he drops this incredible truth bomb.
You know, it's like, I don't force them to go to church. I don't force them to pray with me every day, but they know that it's something that Dad has to do. So if it works for me, hopefully it'll be something that they naturally gravitate towards, as opposed to resenting me for making them go.
For making them do it.
Yeah.
On Super Bowl Sunday, the app had an ad where you led more than 100 million people in prayer. What was that like for you?
It's pretty incredible. It's pretty incredible. I think it just continues to grow. People are looking and searching for something and a deeper connection. People are struggling in lots of different ways, and we all do, no matter where you come from and from all walks of life. So having something that gives me that comfort and that peace, and also that strength and courage to persevere through the hard times and know that everything happens for a reason. Because even if you live to 100 years old, it's very short. And so the idea of heaven, it gives me great comfort.
The man literally became a spiritual leader to an entire nation, and he talks about it with such humility. But the moment that left everyone speechless was when he talked about his kids and how he doesn't force faith on them, but lives it as an example.
You know, continue to put out the positive messages and be an example, whether it's to people that I know, people that are watching me through various lenses, or, you know, my kids at home. You know, it's like, I don't force them to go to church. I don't force them to pray with me every day, but they know that it's something that Dad has to do. So if it works for me, hopefully it'll be something that they naturally gravitate towards, as opposed to resenting me for making them go.
The authenticity was off the charts. No scripted answers, no dodging tough questions, just pure honest conviction about what drives him. During what started as a smooth and engaging discussion in this interview about McConaughey's book, McConaughey found the conversation taking an awkward turn. The host, seemingly unable to resist, steered the discussion into more personal territory by raising the subject of McConaughey's religious beliefs.
I want to switch topics a bit. I've been watching you in True Detective, which my son recommended, and I'm really enjoying. I believe you said in the book that the script leapt off the page for you.
The question was soaked in sarcasm, especially considering the context. The character McConaughey portrayed was a devout non-believer, and the implication was that only someone without strong religious convictions could truly take on such a role. Typically, it's believed that believers might struggle with such portrayals, potentially facing an emotional or spiritual toll. But McConaughey handled it differently. Like the biblical David, he was not intimidated. He came prepared, steady, and confident, with his stones already chosen for battle.
I've always thought this was odd. At the time that I chose and wanted to go and have it rust and coal was the time that my faith was strongest.
But the probing didn't stop there. The interviewer pressed further, diving into yet another intrusive line of questioning. Still, as a man grounded in his Christian values and guided by the 9 fruits of the Spirit, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control, McConaughey chose grace over conflict. He responded with calm, letting the moment pass without tension.
It's cruel, it's hard, we're out here, this thing, okay, I'm in. So that's inevitable.
That's the strange thing, you know, and I felt too. I mean, I can certainly understand the argument.
I hear it, and it adds up. But if that's inevitable, which I think we can all say that's inevitable.
If that hit you right in the feels, smash that like button and subscribe for more real talk from celebrities who aren't afraid to speak truth.